Hey everybody, Jabman025 here. Today I'm taking a look at my first perfect grade, the RX-0 Unicorn Gundam. I picked up this kit because this was one of the most rumored kits in Gunpla history. For years and years and years, people asked for, we want a perfect grade unicorn. We want it to have a light up frame. This is what we want. And for years at every hobby show they said, this will be the time to announce the perfect grade unicorn. Never saw it. Year after year after year, never saw it. Until last year. They finally said, we're giving you what you've been asking for, a light-up PG unicorn. Let's have a look. Now, starting off with the manual. This isn't your standard manual. This is basically a magazine about the perfect gray unicorn. It's big. It's thick. This is, like I said, this is like a magazine you buy at the store. Inside pictures, manual, parts, more pictures, stand. One thing I'd point out, this does not come with the LED set. You have to buy that separately. So they give you two sets of instructions. Every time there's a pink box, that means this is going to be LED stuff. If you don't have the LED, don't bother. Just skip this part. They show you ways to hide the wires, ways to do different things, ways to hook up the LEDs, all sorts of stuff. But if you don't have the LED kit or the LED add-on, you can just skip these parts. They're not necessary. So anytime you see something pink and you don't have the LED, ignore it. It's not important, at least to you. Looking at that LED kit, they make it as easy as they possibly can. Each bag is individually lettered, so when they ask for a part on an LED, you literally just grab that bag, open it up, and plug it in. If you do not have the LED stand, it still comes with this box, or it does not come with this box, rather, and you flip around this lid, so that way is facing out, so you know it's got some hole there. Simple push button with an on-off switch, and thankfully uses plain old AA batteries. Nothing fancy, nothing too complicated. AA's are available everywhere. I was kind of worried they'd be using some oddball battery, but no, plain old AA's. The wires run from that case underneath the action stand or action base or whatever you want to call it, display base, and runs up the backside. The actual stand itself looks like a horn from Unicorn. I was half tempted to paint that gold, but either way, it looks nice. But this thing already weighs a lot, just the stand. The frame itself, they talked about how the Psycho frame was a slightly different style. At first glance, it does look a little thicker. It isn't quite as translucent as before. You can see the pilot in there. He comes solid white. I went ahead and painted him. Luckily, this is a fairly easy job. Just has some lining to do. The mask itself, or the helmet, and the figure is big enough that actually doing lining is fairly simple. The cockpit, of course, can open up and show the pilot inside, but most of the time you'll have it shut like so. You can see there's already wires starting to pop out of this. This is really different, especially as an old school master grade builder. Everything is a little bit bigger and a little more complicated on the perfect grade, and sometimes this kit will fight you. You will be trying. Things have to line up 100% perfectly. The LEDs only further complicate that matter. You cannot be off by even a little bit. And you can see all the wires. When you get it this far, you'll have wires running everywhere, and you aren't quite sure where everything hooks up. As far as the LEDs go, just do the instructions tell you to do, and you'll figure it out later. Because as you're doing it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But you have wires running everywhere. Just do the best you can to keep it exactly as the manual says. Now the feet. Feet are basically the same as the master grade, just sized up. No real changes here, except for the polycaps, which I'll talk about in a second. Good movement out of the ankles, although you're not going to be moving them that much. And the feet are nice and solid, no problems there. And you can see Psycho frame's already peeking through it here in places. There's a good deal more Psycho frame on this kit than there are on master grades. Now here's the polycaps I was talking about. You get two sets of plates. The standard rubber polycap, and you have this. This doubles a lot of those polycaps on that first plate, except this is a much thicker blend. And it's insanely difficult to work with. The idea behind it is you put one of the soft and one of the hard on certain joints. That makes that joint a lot tighter, a lot stiffer. And on a big kit like this, you need those stiff joints. Legs, like I said, more psycho frame. This will be used on the secondary transformation, or the third transformation, I guess. You can see here's where some of the wires get complicated. There's going to be one hinged in the knee, and you got to run these wires all over the place. Getting it lined up just in the exact position is, well, really difficult. I'm just going to be flat out honest with you. It's a pain in the butt. You got wires, you got a light in the knee, light in right above the ankle and the shin, and you got that moving section of psycho frame. The legs were like a 2 or 3 day build for me just on the legs. This is probably the most intensive part of the kit. When you get it all together, it looks real nice. They are kind of big and bulky, but again, this is a big kit, so that doesn't surprise me all that much. You can see psycho frame everywhere. And again, you got these cables running out for the LED. And again, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you're building it. But trust me, in the long run, everything starts making sense. Luckily, the wires don't impede posability all that much, at least at this point. Nice big bend out of the knee. Good ankles, like I said. And it looks pretty good. I like the way the knee moves and everything hinges back into place. Nothing's falling off, no problems. Like I said, you got to get this thing perfectly lined up, though. You have variable hips on this thing. It's got a gear system that the hips will move up or down, and there's a little switch you push into place and holds it in place. That switch is there, nothing's moving, nothing's happening. You don't got to worry about it. And you can see another space here at the back for another LED. And at certain points of this kit, you will have these foil stickers. What this does is it is a double-sided sticker. One side is silver, one side is pink. But the side that is pink is also reflective, or mirror-like, like the silver, so it makes that cycle frame pop a little bit more. As you can see here, pink, silver. One side sticky, so you can just flip it on there. The idea behind this is they put this in certain places where the LEDs really ain't going to get to that much. So it makes it pop a little bit more by itself. They don't use this a lot, though, because there's a lot of LEDs in this kit. Now you see more wiring. Here is some issues we get here is you have wires running through the legs and through the hips. And in the pictures they've shown us, you see just how easy it is to hide these wires. And they kind of exaggerate. These wires will pop up in places you don't intend them to. But what you going to do? But luckily in the legs, for the most part, they hide them really well. Mainly because you got armor covering just about everything. Now here's where I first turned it on. Yeah, that looks cool. Flat out, that looks really, really cool. And you might be wondering, hey, why is all the background blue here? Well, these are not just everyday LEDs. These are very tiny ultraviolets, otherwise known as black lights. Remember how we used to put all those black lights next to our Master Grade unicorns and watch them light up? This thing's got them inside. Skirt armor. Pretty much the same as the Master Grade, except for a few little additions we'll talk about later. Again, here's where some of the wiring issues come in. There's wires all over the waist, and they tend to kind of get in the way. And here you see them lit up now. Without the lights off, it doesn't look, that amazing. It looks good, don't get me wrong. But to really get that real pop out of it, you got to have the lights off, or at least dim significantly. Shoulders. This is pretty different from the Master Grade, i.e. bigger, more complicated. There's a couple more hinges in here, more psycho frame. Again, it's got those stickers here because it can't really get to that. Those LEDs can't really get there in the shoulder. So this helps out. And you got these, which are the hands. And these are a nightmare. These are essentially 1/60th real grade hands. Just like, or 1/60th 3.0 hands if you prefer. Whatever they are. They're a gigantic pain in the butt because you can see these things have got nubs everywhere. And for the 99% of this kit, it has no bad nubs at all. In fact, the whole thing's undercut. Except for here. The hands are a nightmare to get all those nubs off, and you can see I can still see hints of them here and there. But otherwise, this kit has virtually no bad nubs on it. Everything's undercut. And you can see on the arms, pretty similar to the original Master Grade. A few little changes here and there, but nothing major. But here's another one of those big issues. We've got all this extra line for the LED, and we got to get it all into that back piece there. You got to poke, you got to prod, you got to line things up exactly the way you want them. And in the manual they talk, if you line this up perfectly, they show that it'll be completely hidden. Well, that's nice, but it's not really practical. But once you get it in there, you're good. Now here you see the A plate of this kit, the most complicated single plate I've ever seen on Gunpla. This is double coated. It's already painted gold for you on one side. There's magnets in this thing. They're at the base and again at the tip. This holds it together, keeps it from spreading it like it does on the Master Grade sometimes. Back on the Master Grades, you pretty much have to switch horns. There's a single solid piece horn and a twin. And instead of transforming it, I always just swapped out one for the other. This, they don't give you a secondary horn. It's just a split, but you really don't need it because there's magnets in there to hold things together. Very tiny magnets, but magnets nonetheless. Get them all in there, and you can see there's a tiny, tiny gap between the two, but it's barely noticeable. And the magnets do their job. Assembling the head is, what's the word I'm looking for? Insanely difficult. Remember how I was talking, things got to line up perfectly on this kit? Well, it doesn't really want to do that on the head. It's bad now. When you transform into destroy mode, it gets even worse. See, there's not a lot of neck movement, but this upper chest part also moves, so that helps a lot with the posability of the head. You also got the backpack on here. Slightly different from the Master Grade, only in a couple different ways. And you can see in the back of the head, that piece there is hiding a bunch of wires. That is where the problem lies on this particular piece on the head. Getting all those wires covered. If you'd had the non-LED kit, I'm not sure it'd be as big as a problem, but yeesh. You can see when you hit the light, or hit the button down there once, it lights up just the eyes. And when it has that visor down, as I turn down the lights, you can see it a little better, it looks really cool. You can still see hints of pink, though, popping through. You hit it a second time, the rest of the psycho frame lights up. Hit it the third time, psycho frame goes off, then the eyes go off. Beep! Beep! Well, that was odd. Anywho, beam sabers. Pretty standard. Just a standard beam saber with a big friggin' blade. Beam rifle, pretty much the same as the Master Grade beam rifle, except it's just scaled up, way up. They give you one extra ammo pack, and you can attach that onto the back skirt armor if you so desire. The scope, they do give you a sticker for, but it's already clear green, and I'm not quite sure why you would need the sticker, but whatever. And pretty basic. It will fit on the stand on the back right or left corner. Holding this thing is no real issue. It attaches in the hand just fine, but as you can see, the shoulder is no bueno. It's just not strong enough to hold up. The elbow's fine, but the shoulder just doesn't have enough strength to hold this thing up. Won't drop it, because the hand is plenty strong enough, but nah, the shoulder just quite can't pull it off. Bazooka. This is a huge bazooka. And again, on the scope, it is clear green. You don't have to paint it. And it does come with a sticker if you want to. Like the Master Grade before it, you can remove the ammo pack. Like the Master Grade before it, it has this open up hinge, and you can extend the barrel. When it gets like this, it's ridiculously huge, almost as big as the Perfect Grade itself. Just for kicks and giggles, I put it on my shoulder between the ammo pack and the handle. It fit. So you can put this on your shoulder. That's how huge this thing is. Holding it, same basic problem. Hands fine, elbows fine, shoulder, no. Just not strong enough to put up that kind of weight. Doesn't have any problem with the beam sabers though, but that's because it doesn't weigh anything. And again, someplace to set. the bazooka, put it on the back. Machine guns. Scope needs to be painted, or it gives you a sticker. Unlike the Master Grade, however, the handle is on a hinge. On the Master Grade, you just took it off and plugged it back in. Never comes off on this. It's on a swiveling hinge. You just pull it up and twist it into place. No problems. Stop me if you've heard this one. Elbow's fine. Hand is fine. Shoulder, no. Not quite strong enough. And once again, the stand has a place for it on the left and right side of the base itself. Next we have the shield. And again, basically just a scaled up Master Grade shield. With one difference. It does have a slightly different hinge system to connect into the arm. This is so if you can put both the beam machine guns on one arm, which you couldn't do in the standard unicorn mode in the previous kit. You can here. And it had these two slots lined up. Well, mostly. And if you do that, you can stack the shield on top of the guns, full armor unicorn style. This holds up just fine. I was kind of worried this would be too heavy even for that elbow and hand. Nope, we're good, solid. Again, the shoulder ain't strong enough, but we kind of knew that. The shield is also on a swivel. You can attach it to the arm, and you can move it anywhere you want. This doesn't really have a real problem with the shoulder, though. Again, because it weighs nothing. And yes, there is a stand for that as well. There are, in fact, several. Like I said, you can put the ammo pack on the back. You can also take the ammo pack of the bazooka and put it on the back skirt armor as well. And just like the Master Grade before it, there are attachments to hook onto the backpack from the shield, or the gun, or the bazooka, or anything. You can move up this stand so he will get off the ground. Not a problem. Up in the air, in fact, he's a little more posable than he was on the ground. The only issue is because it's connected to the back, there's no real twisting or turning of moving of the torso. It's kind of locked in place and you have to move everything else around it. Transformation time. Chest, move out the places, or move out the sides, move down the flaps on the front chest, separate the waist, and use this little tool they gave you to move up these cameras, shoulder bits, whatever. Next they tell you to do the head. This was a mistake. Do the head first. The head transformation is a royal pain in the butt. They have these sides hinged on there. And before on the Master Grade, you would just take them off, flip them, and reattach them. This is a case of they made it a lot more complicated than it needed to be. They should have just done that. I guess they wanted to keep it attached so it looked cooler, which I guess it does, but it's a little over-engineered. Shoulders. Basic same transformation. They separate. Arm, again, same basic transformation. Pops open a little bit. See more cycle frame on the arm. Waist section, same basic transformation. Slides open, panels move up. The front section pops open. This is a lot stronger than previous. Legs, same basic deal. Torso pops open, legs get longer. That knee comes open. Feet transform to get taller. Vents open up. That knee, there's been problems with Master Grades in the past. It's be too loose. No problem whatsoever here. Solid as a rock. It's never coming loose. Next, the backpack slides open, and you can see there's some white on the inside of the thrusters, and it just slides into that backpack there, over top of the attachment. Transforming it's fairly simple. Move it out, flip the swords. If you had the Master Grade, same old, same old. Shield transforms. Kind of a tight shield. This is kind of a pain to transform, but it looks really good when it's on there, and it's a giant shield when it's all said and done. And this looks, yeah, pretty damn cool. And you got the whole thing transformed standing there. Now getting him off the ground is tricky. Lighting him up. Now when you do this, First thing you're probably going to notice is one of those LEDs is probably backwards. I did that on the left leg. I noticed I put in one upside down. As careful as I was, I had to do that. This also gave me an option. How difficult would it be putting the LEDs after you built the kit? The answer is extremely. Just flipping that one took me a good hour to get that fixed. So if you're going to get the LED, you want it this way. Now there's an extra transformation. Flaps open on the chest, these fins open up the head, parts of the shoulders slide up and down, revealing even more Psycho Frame. The arm separates up here, and it needs to be separated a little more on this particular spot, which I'll fix later. Anyway, panels open up on the arm. Beam sabers flip down, which they can do in standard destroy mode, I suppose. The front and back skirt armor extends downward, revealing even more Psycho Frame. As you can see, little gaps there. They pop right open. No real problems. I thought that'd be a little more complicated, but no, real simple. And these panels open up on both sides of the leg, and more Psycho Frame can pop out. You kind of need tweezers to do this part, just because it's tough to get in there with your fingers. And quite frankly, this looks pretty cool. It looks almost like the unicorn is screaming. This has been called chains off mode. The way I interpret that is, this is the mode when you absolutely positively have to win. Don't care if the pilot dies, don't care if the suit comes back. Win the fight. You light this thing up, and the thing's glowing. It looks really cool. In fact, I like this so much, this is probably the way I'm going to have him pose in my collection. Especially since I've got other unicorns. With all that Psycho Frame, the thing looks like it's screaming. It's going to explode any second. It looks pretty cool. Now here's something interesting. I put this thing under a black light, and I noticed it doesn't quite light up as much as other versions have. I don't know if it's because of the new mix. I don't know why. Maybe it's meant to light up from the inside out, and maybe that's why it looks so much better when it's lit up, but it doesn't really pop like other kits have. Doesn't look bad, mind you, so if you just get the standard edition without the LEDs and you want to shine it under a black light, it still looks cool. But I noticed it just doesn't pop. Like here you see the full arm unicorn. That thing pops. It really stands out under a black light. You can attach the beam sabers onto the forearms like you could with the Masquerade, and this thing looks really nasty and it's going to mess up somebody's day. Honestly, this looks great. This is one of the best looking kits I've ever built. It's also one of the most expensive. Decals. Honestly, I was surprised at the lack of decals. I was expecting full armor unicorn level of decals, just ages and ages and ages of the things. Not really. They're all sticker decals, no drain transfer, no water slide, the whole thing's sticker, and there are not a ton of them, at least for a kit this size. If I had to do over again, I probably still would have just decaled it as I built the kit, just because there are certain parts of this kit that is difficult to decal when done. Size comparisons. Here you see the standard Master Grade Verka in unicorn mode, mind you. The Banshee on an action base, even with the action base, he's still taller by a good deal. And yeah, we're probably going to get a perfect grade Banshee at some point. And just for kicks and giggles, the SD Unicorn and the PG Unicorn. The SD doesn't get above his kneecap. This thing is a beast of possibilities. Haha! Alright, final thoughts. I'm giving this kit a thumbs up. This kit is not a brick kit, but it's just barely above one. I kind of think if I didn't have the LED kit, this would be a little bit easier to pose with, but as it sits with all these LEDs, you pretty much have to keep it on the stand because all the wires, I guess you could disconnect them, but it'd be more trouble than it's worth. But you bought this kit because, at least if you bought the LED version, because you want this thing to light up and look amazing. Done. Mission accomplished. This thing looks amazing. Sitting on your shelf with the rest of your collection, it is a jaw-dropper. Beautiful, excellently detailed, not a bad nub on the thing except for the hands. Accessories look great, stand is great. The LEDs make this thing look jaw-dropping amazing. But you ain't going to be doing a whole lot of posing with this thing. It's going to stand there and look cool. If you didn't have the LEDs, you can get a little more posing out of it, but because of the weakness of the shoulders, you're still not going to get a ton out of it. But even so, you can hold every accessory, no problem. Can't do a lot of pose with them. The beam sabers you can, the shield you can, but this kit is made to stand there and look cool, which it does very well. This kit, with the LED and with shipping costs, is going to cost you in the ballpark of $300. Granted, that's a lot of money. I was expecting worse. Some other perfect grades cost that just by themselves, no extras. Like the 00 riser costs, I think, north of that. But overall, this is a great kit. It is an expensive kit. But this is one of those wish grants to the Gunpla fandom community. We asked Bandai, make us a perfect grade unicorn with a light up psycho frame. And for years and years we asked, and we never got one. We got it. It works. It looks cool. Just realize that's what it's made to do. Look cool. Not meant to be a poser. But overall, thumbs up from me. My friends, I want to thank you for watching. I realize this was a long review. Easily the longest I've put on YouTube, but there was a lot to talk about. This is my first perfect grade after all. And I realize a lot of people have been waiting on this review. It took me a little over a month to make. Granted, I didn't spend the entire time building this kit. I took some time off from building. This is the only kit I've had to take a break in the middle of the process. But hey, what you going to do? This was a great kit. This was a fun experience. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. I want to thank each and every one of you for every comment you make. You know I love reading them. And as always, thank you. And I'll see you next time with another review. Oh, and, one more thing.
Hey, Dork Man.
What did you say?
Hey, Jab Man.
What'd you need?
It's too dark.
Oh, okay. There we go. Is that better?
Better.
Great. Now, how is it the Tool for Toys convinced me to babysit again? Oh, right, the Turn A song. Yeah. I never will live that down.